I'm Nancy Graham. Every once in a while in the course of broadcast journalism, you meet somebody that you feel is very, very special. Someone who's leading a quiet life, yet giving a lot of joy to many people. Well, tonight we're going to introduce you to someone like that. His name is Ishmael Rodriguez. He's a sculptor, a teacher, and a very loving man. Art is an elusive concept. Aesthetic principles belong to philosophers, and those of us who are just among the common folk often find ourselves getting lost in the highbrow discussions that tell us whether something artistic is good or bad. The poets have a different and more generous point of view. Art, some say, is the ultimate expression of the human spirit. Art heals the wounds of the human heart. Art is the fulfillment of human longing to discover that universal soul that bonds us all. 40 years ago, a small boy in a family of 13 grew up in an Oakland house that once stood here. There wasn't any art in his life. Instead, what he saw and heard around him made him grow up in a hurry, and survival became his main concern. Today, he's a serious sculptor. He shows his work in galleries, and 2 of his pieces have been bought by Governor Jerry Brown. Sculpture, he says, saved his life. And for sculptor Ishmael Rodriguez, it was a redemption long in the making.
I come from a very low-income area when I was a child. I grew up in West Oakland. And there was all kind of things, like there's all kind of things all over the world. And I come from a fairly good family, and great mother, great father, and so on. And it was a matter that I was sort of slightly not sure what direction I was going. There was a lot of so-called, what I call, negative syndromes, in a sense. There were people who were confused and like every place else, and people into drugs. I didn't know what direction I wanted, and I guess I was just like almost any kid that lived in a very low-income area. I didn't know which direction I was going because I had a very low view of myself and my self-esteem, and as far as being a creative person or really doing anything, I thought, well, you know, I guess I'm just one of the kind that's meant to be a loser, in a sense. Mostly being from the low-income area, you find some people that were swept up by what I call the cesspool.
Rodriguez doesn't talk much about his life prior to his discovery of sculpture. What he will say is that he spent a lot of time running away from himself. He didn't seem to belong anywhere, nor to anybody. And he felt pretty certain that it was of no consequence whether he lived or died. Today, his sculpture is an expression of both his sorrow and his compassion for the everyday person who has to make it in a hostile world.
I've been a sculptor all my life, but it took about 30 years to realize it, to actually say, this is my purpose, this is my direction. I've always had a lot to say, and I needed a vehicle, and I didn't know what the vehicle was. I tried painting a little bit a long time ago, when I was, say, younger in school and so on like this. You know, you go to school and they say, try a little watercolor, pick up a brush and splash. I don't know. I'm a very physical person in a sense. I always liked to have an intimate contact with whatever material or people that I'm with. I'm a people type person. I like contact. And so sculpture seemed to satisfy that particular need within myself. I knew that when I start carving on some stone or some wood and so on, that empty little space within me was being nourished and fed.
Child of the World is one of Ishmael's largest pieces. He says it's about survival and coming to terms with life. I like this piece. The crooked smile is like that of an all-knowing Buddha. Nothing can shock him, and the understanding of contradictions makes him serene.
A lot of people kind of say, well, art is therapy, and so I don't believe that. I kind of believe the magic of art, that art has a particular magical ingredient in it, that it heals your soul, and that it does it heals and it just kind of makes everything fall together. It's not the fact that it's only because I'm Puerto Rican, but I think as being part of mankind, being a person, a human being, I think this is basically what I try to emphasize, because I think it's what bonds people together is the fact is that we all cry, we all laugh, we all have dreams, and we all eventually have to move to the next page.
One of the reasons it's fun to hang around Ishmael Rodriguez is because he seems serene. No personal obstacle seems too big to conquer when you watch him transform a giant piece of rock into something so beautiful you want to touch it and look at it again and again. It's probably true that most sculpture is tactile, but people who see Ishmael's work give in to the impulse, leaving fingerprints and hopefully no scratches behind. This compulsion to touch sculpture that inspired Rodriguez to prepare an exhibit especially for the blind. Early in 1980, Oakland Center for the Visual Arts invited him to do a sculpture tactile program. Special groups of blind, retarded, and other handicapped were brought to the museum and invited to see the pieces of stone and wood through their fingertips. This event led to a 3-year grant from the California Arts Council to teach sculpture to the same group in a mainstreamed class. Sculpture to the blind, seeing impaired, and mentally retarded sounds difficult, at least, if not impossible. Rodriguez made it happen and has lived to see several of his students win blue ribbons at the Alameda County Fair.
Yeah, right. You just kind of build up a little rhythm right.
Virginia Wilson is one of Ishmael's students. She lives in San Pablo with her daughter and grandchildren. This year she won first place, not just in the handicapped category, but in the open category as well. Competing with sighted amateur sculptors and winning was a surprise to Virginia, but she's remarkably modest about her talent as she plans her next piece. Do you think that you would have learned as much if you'd been studying with another teacher?
No way.
Why?
Well, I don't think there's anybody out there that is kind and thoughtful and considerate as Ishmael is. I'm proud of the fact that I was able to do it, but I know that I never could have without the teacher that I had. He never says, well, if you could see, you would do it this way, or he always put himself in our place. He's very kind, very considerate. You never do anything wrong. If you make a mistake, he tells you, well, we'll have to cover it up somehow, which I make lots of mistakes.
You don't know what Ishmael looks like?
No, I have no idea what he looks like.
But you've touched his hands before?
Yes.
Does he guide you with his hands?
Sometimes, yes.
It's a very interesting thing. A blind person, a friend of mine, I said, are you prejudiced? Okay, we all have our dislikes and likes and so on. If you wish to label those, we could label them. And the person said, the person had never seen, doesn't know what a color is, and so on. A very talented person, too, among others. And she said, no, it's the attitude. And my prejudice is like that in a sense. It's a matter, it's not a matter of color, skin, and that, because we're all made up basically the same. You know, we all have our different political outlooks and views and likes and dislikes, but it's attitudes. And I believe in that we're all important on this planet, and that we could improve the quality of life by our outlook and our attitude, and have everything in its proper, what I call proper perspective, by getting it together. But then that's what life is about, getting it together.
went to Ishmael's, I heard about Ishmael's, one of his shows down in Oakland. I went to there and saw his sculptures and stuff like that, and that's how we met, and that's how I got started into carving out of stone and stuff like that.
Ishmael heard me one day talking about how I would like to be part of the class, and he said, "Oh, you can do it." I said, "But I can't make anything, Ishmael. I've never made anything with these hands." And he said, "Well, why don't you come over and give it a try?" And I did.
What do you like the best about Ishmael's teaching style?
Well, he takes lots of pain with all of his students, and I believe all of his students appreciate having a instructor as Ishmael, because he put forth much effort to try to help you to learn something. He takes time with you, and that means a lot.
The thing I like about teaching is the fact that you receive rewards. I mean, rewards that are, you can't put a price tag on, in a sense. And it's an interaction with other people. And I've always believed in the concept of sharing. I think that all of us that do have a gift, in a sense, it is our responsibility to share this.
One of the things that all of your students comment on about you is your patience and your kindness. Where does that come from?
Maybe that, I don't know, that kind of hits a little tender spot in me. Maybe I was blind at one time. Maybe I didn't have enough patience. I mean, people didn't give me enough patience at a particular time. And I knew that there was a very important ingredient to really motivate, to be patient with people, and just to really, just kind of reach in and share that patience, the love and all that. I know what it is to be neglected. I know what it is to not have love, and the sadness, and in a sense, even in my life, to, in a sense, be sightless. In a sense, I was, as I mentioned, almost being like non-sighted or blind in a way, till I kind of found my purpose in life. And the great satisfaction that I do get is in teaching and sharing with people this knowledge, and sharing the love that I got within me, that I've received from other people, and that I feel for myself.
Do you honestly believe that everybody has some creative well within themselves that they could tap?
Yes, I definitely do.
That's not just a sentimental notion.
No, I believe everybody has an ability of some sort, and it's a matter of them finding it and focusing on it and cultivating it. Oh, definitely so.
His pieces comes through his perpetual journey through despair into a reaffirmation of optimism. The names of his pieces are as interesting as the work themselves. Birth in Reverse is about man's unconscious longing to return to prenatal paradise. Reflections is about self-examination and ultimately self-acceptance.
Reflection carries some of that message, because all the sculptures that I do are a piece of that diary. They're a diary of my life. And the thing is that it's a particular moment in time and space of my experience going through this, evolving emotionally, spiritually, and mentally. lot of people say, well, if you have a purpose or a goal, go to that goal in spite of whatever's involved, I mean, at any cost. I don't believe exactly like that. I have a little small analogy. I'll make it real quick. And it goes like this. Okay, there's a person that focuses on say, this is my goal. Okay, so there's a treasure chest that is located on, say, for instance, on top of a mountain. And this person goes and his eye is just on that particular treasure chest, and he goes and he hears the roads of life twisting this and all the trials and tribulations that all human beings go through and so on like this. And when they reach that treasure chest, they open it. This is the goal, supposedly their goal. They reach it and so on, and their expectations are so big and so on like this that they've overlooked a lot of things on the various roads through life. And when they open the treasure chest, there's an envelope inside. And the envelope, the person opens the envelope, and they look in, and they said, the treasure chest was scattered among the various roads of life that you were traveling to reach this. So the person, in a sense, missed the treasure chest, or the true satisfaction of achieving that goal, because it's the experiences that lead up to it, and so on. And me, I kind of like, there's a lesson to learn in every little turn of the road and so on, whether it be good or say bad and so on, or traumatic and so on like this. It isn't how long you live, it's what you've learned from what you've lived.